Mascots, the colourful, lovable symbol of a bygone era. These characters were a huge part of what drew so many of us to video games in the first place. Their timeless designs would stick with us forever and cement the mascot's place in games culture.
I think we're well past the era when mascots exist in video games.
Oh, probably best not to argue with Mark Cerny about games. He has a real knack for them. Yes, it does look like the days of the mascot have passed us by. Games have mostly shaken off their toys for kids stigma from the 90s, and now the idea of a big budget mainstream guy usually involves a regular dude in power armor, or a t-shirt that functions as power armor anyway. Kid-focused characters haven't completely gone away, but they're not the forefront of the industry anymore. There's certainly way less of them, and the types of games they were associated with are showing up less and less in AAA these days. So it's always fun to look back on the glory days of, say, Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash Bandicoot, Gex the Gecko, Zool, Wild Woody the Magic Pencil. Yeah, Wild Woody the Magic Pencil. I like to imagine this character came from a bunch of guys workshopping in a basement for 10 hours, and the best design they had at the end of it was the pencils they were using to draw them, so they just ran with it. That aside, it did come out in the mid-90s where these things were still popular. Maybe it could have some appeal. You know, some people do have unironic nostalgia for Bubsy. Maybe Wild Woody also drew his way into the hearts of children. Oh, okay. Drain the pool! It's dead in the water! Whatever, let's get this show rolling. What have we got here? W, lightning bolt, pink cocktail, mustache breasts, J. Oh, how could I be so foolish? I know what it says. It's Wild Woody! Being a Sega CD game, we get our mandatory full motion video opening. Is it fair to point out that this game came out the same year as Toy Story and both star a guy called Woody? Well, anyway, check out what the good people at Sega of America came up with to justify a game starring a magic pencil.
Let me explain. I'm Lowman of the Totem Pole. My fathead totem brothers have escaped my control, and I brought you to life to go and round them up. If you don't get them back, they'll wipe out everything. So, what do you think? Think you can save the world?
You gotta love how creative they were about the least creative ideas imaginable. You know how a lot of Bush League 90s platformers cycle through a bunch of cliches like a space level, or a pirate level, or a spooky Halloween level? Basically like Earthworm Jim, but without the charm. Or any charm. Well, Wild Woody is one of those, but it explains it by having parts of this cursed totem pole break off and disappear into random objects in some guy's room, and that creates bad platformer levels because magic. What is this Western designer compulsion to contextualize everything, even when it still makes no sense? It reminds me of how Way Forward felt the need to explain why Scrooge McDuck could breathe on the moon. You know, rather than coming up with this ridiculous explanation for why this game stars a magic pencil, why didn't instead you try something like setting the game in someone's sketchbook with a stylized, hand-drawn art style, or, you know, anything interesting? Ugh, I hate looking at this guy's face, so just get into the game already. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot to take in at once. We got parrots struggling to carry cannonballs, guys hanging out in barrels, pirates walking on nothing, a really lazy shark, parts of the ship are on fire and there's another ship in the background firing on this ship, presumably trying to also kill you, but it's unclear if they're working with the guys on this ship also trying to kill you. It's possible there was a breakdown in communication between the pirates, similar to the ones between Japanese and American divisions of game companies, like the one that let this game exist. You know a side-scroller is going to be trouble when there's a health bar or a percentage on the screen where random numbers get chipped away from every hit you take. Immediately you can tell the designers couldn't be bothered to make a structured or fair challenge, so they just made the game essentially impossible but gave you a million hits and scattered health items everywhere so you can just bumble your way through it. Now let's talk about perhaps the biggest issue with Wild Woody. In game criticism and academic circles, there's a lot of discussion about the concept of virtual space in games. What does it mean to interact with the space? What can spaces tell us? How does it feel to move through a virtual space, and so on and so forth? Sometimes the relationship between a player and the space around them can be a negative one. Sometimes there's poor communication at hand that can give one distrust or disdain in the space they embody in a video game. There's a more common terminology for this dissonance. I believe it's something along the lines of, "Where do I freaking go?" This is like a crime against level design flung at your face by a copy of Game Maker Studio that went rogue. You don't have to collect anything, but just finding the exit or having any sense of where you are feels completely random. There's no sense of structure or layout. Items are placed like they sprinkled a salt shaker over the level maps. There's these crates that teleport you to some other crate in the map. Some of them seem essential, but others just take you to random locations. Not to mention the fact the game is all around extremely visually noisy, like how multiple stages have spiky aesthetics and some of them hurt you and others are just for decoration. The only, and I mean the only saving grace, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, is the fact the game is on the Sega CD. The hardware is actually capable of remembering what enemies you've defeated, so none of them respawn. And that's the only way of telling where you have and haven't been in these huge maze-like levels. The trade-off for this is that you get a CD audio soundtrack that doesn't loop properly, although the few brief seconds of silence are probably the best bits of the game as they save you from all the generic butt rock. In fairness, some of it feels appropriate for the setting, and some of it also has vocals.
It's well you got a rubber butt and a head full of lead, but if you draw for me a mermaid, I'll be watching her instead. You can try to write me off, but you'll be busy enough with the cannonballs are dropping and the parrot's eggs are popping. You can jump over the fire and the wolves can take you higher, but the only way to win is to conflict what you begin. So bring it back, bring it back!
It's important to point out right now that here at Lesmocon... I've never said it out loud before. Here at Lesmocon, we don't believe in the angry gamer thing. Snarky gamer sometimes. Sassy gamer maybe. But ultimately, it's important to engage with these things before you start making fun of them. I went into this hoping to do a retrospective piece on the long-lost era of gaming mascots and child-friendly characters by having some fun with one of the more forgotten failed ones. I didn't expect Wild Woody on the Sega CD to turn out to be one of the worst experiences in my gosh darn life. Maybe the footage isn't doing it justice, but it's so hard to explain how gross Wild Woody feels to play. It's easy to fall through the sides of platforms, but you bounce off the bottom of them, so you end up missing jumps for no reason and then you get punished for trying to correct them. It's an even bigger problem on the Greek level where you sink through the clouds. Then it's anyone's guess where the hitboxes on these things are supposed to be, and precision platforming turns into a nightmare. Another huge problem are chains and ropes. With the level design being the random jumbled mess that it is, there's going to be times where you want to jump past them, but Woody auto-grabs them. This is a simple annoyance at first, but later on this will screw up vital jumps, as when you're still holding the direction, Woody will slide off the side of the chain instead of continuing the jump, and it just feels wrong. And I'll tell you what, I played this game for over 3 hours and I beat the whole thing, and I still cannot explain to you how the eraser attack works. Woody jumps onto guys and rubs his backside on them until they've been deleted from existence, and I can't work out if you just jump on them dead center, whatever that means in this game, or if you tap a button or if you hold a button. Either way, there's no oof to it. Who needs to keep their momentum by bouncing off enemies when you could just slowly fall through them and be forced to land on whatever they're standing on? That's fun, right? But butt-wiping enemies can't be the only way Wild Woody takes advantage of all the possibilities that a magic pencil protagonist gives you. Nope. What you can do is collect random pictures of things, then pause the game, flick through your sketchbook one by one, pick a power-up, and then Woody will draw that thing and it will become real. There's nothing to indicate what each drawing will actually do, and you can only use each drawing only once, so you're taking a gamble every time you decide to use it. Or at least you would be if any of them were actually useful. Most drawings are just some kind of elaborate one-use only attack, which isn't that helpful. Certainly not helpful enough to pause the game and flick slowly through your sketchbook to randomly try them out. Using a drawing also makes Woody smaller, so the only times I ever used them was to waste them to make Woody smaller so I could get through a tunnel or make one of the more especially terrible jumps a little easier. I don't know what else there is to say about this game. All the levels are generic, frustrating mazes that feel like they were designed at random, apart from the couple that have gimmicks like falling to the start of the stage or bouncing around in space or whatever this is. So you beat a couple of those stages, move on to a boss battle which consists of either a rapping skeleton pirate, Jesus shooting lightning out of his eyes, a chilling vision of an alternative future where Sega continues to succeed in the console market, an alien, and a haunted monkey floating around a toilet. You beat one of those, get a disgusting Sega CD cutscene of Woody returning the totem head to the pole, and repeat that until it's over.
I'll see you next time the world needs saving. Yeah, Only if we sell a zillion units. Now for your wish.
And roll credits! A surprising amount of people worked on this too, which makes it even weirder. I mean, this isn't a game made from some rando rubes from up on Chump Mountain. This is a Sega of America game, and... Wait a second, there was a motion capture actor? Well, that's Wild Woody. It's insufferable, it's creatively void, it's glitchy, it's frustrating, and it's just a straight up bad time. But I guess we can learn something from that. It's easy to dismiss popular mascots as cynical, corporate creations designed to make money through appealing characters, which, yeah, that is kind of what they are. But it's important to remember that they're the work of real human beings, and it takes a lot of heart and effort to come up with something that actually does appeal to people. When you're in the cynical mindset of thinking kids are jerks and will like anything, stuff like Wild Woody happens, and it'll be left to rot on the landfill of failed mascots with the rest of them. Now I can already hear the typing of that one guy who grew up playing Wild Woody on the Sega CD and loved it, and all I had to say in response is, no you didn't! You didn't have a Sega CD, no one had a Sega CD, not even me! Although I'm starting to wonder what that thing was in my house that I beat Road Avenger on was. The point is, you didn't play Wild Woody on the Sega CD because no one played Wild Woody on the Sega CD, which I can prove with the view count on this video. Oh.